Dante, there's one thing that people are not talking about when you think about the elections or the result of the elections and this project 2025. And I said to people, when you look at the data and how Americans voted, over 70% of I said recently that when you look at the result of the election, people voted racially in this election. Unlike any other year, okay? Over 70% of white people, women and men, voted for Donald Trump. Over 70% of white people. If you have over 70% of white people voting for a particular person, that person will win. Okay? Over 70%. And then when you look at on the African American side, over 90%, about 90% of women voted for, so 10% of women voted for, 10% of African American women voted for Donald Trump. Thereabout. And how many, and of course, and when you look at the men, only 81% of African American men voted for Kamala, but about 16% voted for Donald Trump. So not only did he get over 70%, but I don't want to focus on the few black and brown people, who voted for Donald Trump, and the black and brown people that voted for. I don't want to focus. What I want to focus on the fact that Donald Trump won because he had an overwhelming support of white people. Kamala didn't want to make the race a racial one, because she knows if she made it a racial one, she would have lost. Okay? However, there are people who wanted to make it race. When you make the elections a racial one, appealing to race or racial identity, then what it does, it creates a kind of consciousness in people's mind. People are already nervous about the browning of America. I told you that. People are nervous about the browning of America. And this started from when I came since 2009, 2008. There were fears that this country was losing its soul, losing its identity. Okay? Its soul, its whiteness. They were to the point that very wealthy people were, and the government was throwing money behind research, okay, exploring the idea of America becoming a brown country, because the idea was that by 2025 or between 2020 and 2025, the U.S. will become, the majority will now become part of the minority, and the minority, which is black and brown people, will not be part of the majority. Those are real fears that people have. What will this country look like with all these black and brown people? And then, of course, the issue of immigration becomes a ripe issue. Becomes a very is part of it becomes a kind of, what do they call it? You know, when you build fire, what do you call that? The sticks what feed the fuel. What do you call it? The sticks. You know, that helps to gash the fire of fear that many white people have about whether or not this country, and then with what's going on at the border, it even creates even more fears. You understand what I'm saying? You see what's going on here? So, with what's going on now in this country, people need to understand that part of what's going on and the way people voting, people were willing to vote for Trump despite his detraction. because his detraction is subservient, okay, or secondary to the larger issue, the fact that America is losing its soul. And if we elect a brown person, then it's going to create, and already they believe that she is not doing well on the board and she's allowing even more brown people to come in here. What's going to happen to America? It's appealing to people's sensibilities, sensitivity, and sensationalizing issues and so on. This is part of the people need to have when they analyze the elections. When you analyze the elections, this is part of the issue. Okay, so and now, what's going on now? So now that Trump is in power, right? Part of the project would be they're going to create a kind of a state of emergency. It is a state of emergency. America is losing its soul. The demographics of America is changing. Our identity is changing as America. And people are, we're losing this, the whiteness. So of course they're getting rid of black books. They're hoping to continue with that. They are, of course, abortion. They're putting all these conservative judges so that they can continue, so that they can, limit the number of white people who are aborting their babies, because if anything, it is not black and brown people who are aborting. Okay, it is the white people. And if you look what's going on over the world in terms of the white population in many of these post-industrial countries, they are struggling. In terms of, when you look at the population growth, is at -2% in some countries. In America, it's the white population is dying out. So what's going on in America today is what they're doing is that they are limiting the number of immigrants who are coming in, because they think that part of the fix involves limiting what's going on at the border, and then creating immigration policies that make it easier for white people to come here, and also encouraging family, encouraging fertility. So abortion laws, the ability to abort does a disservice to what you are trying to maintain. You want to make America, part of this Project 2025, part of this MAGA, okay, is to preserve American identity, preserve American soul, and to do whatever it can to bring back America. So when you say go back, make America get great, it's not necessarily the economics we're talking about. Okay, we're talking about ensuring that America preserve who we are as a white country. Okay, all right, the population, and not only that, even the religion. Now they're now creating a policy where now they're talking about, if you don't teach the Bible in schools, they will withhold funding. That they're discussing that right now. Also, okay, going back, trying to bring back those values. They say that those kind of values that they say make America great again. So of course they're limiting. They want to bring more. Of course they don't want as many black people or brown people at the border to be coming in here, because that's a problem. But then of course they have another problem. To fix one issue, sometimes fixing one issue creates another problem, because how are you then going to continue to maintain the inflation rate because capitalist illegal immigration flock to cheap and low wage labor. The country needs that in order to maintain a particular kind of economy, because a lot of black and brown people, they say, are on social welfare, or or Americans generally don't want to work pittance or low wage job. Okay, so a lot of illegal immigrants come here and they get those jobs, and it helps to create that kind of economic balance. Now you get rid of all these people so that you can preserve. It means that white people will now have to do the jobs that they say that was for black people, that Trump talk about. Okay, or the immigrants who you don't want here, then Americans now will have to shift their attitudes and their behaviors and their work ethics and habits. They now have to do those jobs, and maybe people will have to now start paying more people. Maybe industrial relations and unions are going to come back. Okay, since you don't want all these illegal immigrants here. So now, as Americans, if you're going to be changing policies, cut down social welfare, have Americans work these jobs, then it means what you're going to have, the rise of industrial unions. So maybe when you talk when Martin Oppenheimer and I talk about deindustrialization in America today, from the 1960s or from the 1930s up to now to the 60s, and then from the 60s and now, you find unions aren't as organized, and if you do have organized unions, they are part of the privilege. Okay, they serve as part of the connectivity that Walter Litt talk about, this connectionism, where societies, they form groups or labor unions, or if you work in the manufacturing, only certain people and the unions control who gets into these union jobs. Only certain people can get certain union jobs. So that's what unions have become. They have devolved, they've become very political, okay? Or they don't exist because a lot of jobs are temporary or seasonal or illegal immigrants, and there's not much labor protections for them. But when you remove all these immigrants out of here because you're trying to preserve the purity of America in terms of our demographics, it's going to create a problem with labor and economics. Okay, because you also now have to change America. Americans will have to now work these jobs, and what's going to happen? Americans want higher wages. So what's going to happen? Are they going to now start reorganizing? Are we going to see more unions coming back again? That's part of the conversation that people should have. Yes? What do you think about that? But are those good points to consider? Yes, I think so. Yes, those are good points to consider, and I think I can't wait for January to come, January 2025. I heard that they are building a 1,400-acre deportation facility. Texas land commissioner offers Trump more than 1,400 acres of land for deportation facility. So they're going to create these facilities where they round up people, send them to the deportation facilities, and they wait there for what? For several, probably going to be like a concentration camp. I don't know. They create these facilities, and how long are they going to be holding? Are they going to take away these people's rights? How long are they going to be at these deportation facilities? 1 year, 2 years, 6 months? Okay, then they deport them to their countries. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen at the deportation facilities. They're creating these deportation facilities to hold these people because they're going to see what's going to happen. When they round up all these people and put them in these facilities, both in America and at the border, what's going to happen is that then when they need people to do certain jobs and they can't find them, they go to these deportation facilities and start hiring people from the deportation facilities to come back in America. The deportation facilities is going to be a place where they get indentured laborers to come and work. This is the Neoliberal podcast. I'm Renaldo McKenzie. And just so you know, my book, Neoliberalism, Globalization, Income Inequality, Poverty and Resistance, goes on sale on November 25th, Monday, November 25th. Until December. You can go to our store page at store.theneoliberal.com and you can check it out. Also, you can, just so you know, my new book, Neoliberal Globalization Reconsidered, is not out yet, but it will be out soon. We are still working, crossing the fingers. It should have been out from last year or earlier this year, but we are still doing edits and updating some of the information. We are hoping to get it out before the end of the year. Continue to support us. Continue to support this podcast. Go to anchor.fm/theneoliberal/support. We will be, you can order the books from us right here. You can call us at 445-260-9198. Send us an email at sales@theneoliberal.com. Renaldo C. McKenzie @gmail.com. Message us on Twitter, The Neoliberal Co. or Renaldo @Renaldo McKenzie. Also, we're on Facebook, The Neoliberal Corporation or The Neoliberal Co. We're on LinkedIn, The Neoliberal Corporation. Please, we're all about serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges by making popular what was the monopoly. And just so you know, you can visit our Ant Business Solutions page where we provide web solutions, right? We also provide writing and editing solutions, publishing solutions, and we are working to develop our ad services. Please visit us by going to theneoliberal.com and renaldocmckenzie.com. What good?